Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. Back with another live show as always. Now we only have 3 weeks remaining in the transfer window. The Premier League starts this week, so only 6 days until our game. So we're in the business part of both in terms of starting the league and also transfers. Can we get any more players? So far, we've signed 6 players, and I've been very impressed with all 6 players in the preseason. Nørgaard and Zubimendi have been standouts for me. They've been very good in all the games that they've played. And then Madueke has looked good off the bench in the 2 games. Gyokeres has looked good in the 2 starts as well, especially the second game. Very, very good. And also Mosquera has been really, really good. And the games that Kepa played early on in the preseason, he looked very good. But can we add at least a 7th player or maybe even 2 more players in this transfer window? Now, Mikel Arteta's asked about that after we played against Bilbao over the weekend, and this is what he had to say. Let's see what happens in terms of where the squad is in the next few weeks. We are actively looking at options, as well as there are few players maybe that have to leave. We can definitely remove the maybe there because there's a lot of players who are going to leave. So we will be open to see what happens. So that's what he has to say. We are looking at more options. You already know the players we are looking at. It's just as a really, there've been rumors about Lookman, but I still feel like Lookman is going to end up joining Inter Milan. And then there's been rumors about Rodrygo and a loan deal. Man City today, I've asked about Rodrygo as well. Remember what I've always told you guys? I feel like Rodrygo does not really want to leave Real Madrid and does not really want to join Arsenal anyway. There's no place where Rodrygo said he wants to join Arsenal. So a team like Bayern Munich coming in for him, Man City coming in for him, PSG coming in for him, he might prefer going to those teams, but he might still prefer remaining at Real Madrid. So that one is looking impossible. Now, unless you just get someone from out of nowhere and you go for someone like the Sterling one that we got at the end of the season last season. Wasn't a great buy, but it came out of nowhere. On the final day we had that Arsenal going to sign Sterling on loan. Maybe we wait and hear whether you're going to get a player like that. No, not that same kind of player and performance-wise, but a player out of nowhere in the final 2 days, final 3 days. Let's see. But as of now, we are still looking at Eze. That's the player that we're really looking at. That's the player that every Arsenal fan is waiting for. He played yesterday against Liverpool. He won the Community Shield. That's now 2 trophies for Crystal Palace over the last few days. And a fan actually asked him as they were climbing down the steps after picking up the trophy. A fan asked him, "Are you coming to Arsenal?" And he just smiled. So they definitely know the rumors are there. He's already agreed to join Arsenal as we've been told over the past 1 month. But it's up to Arsenal and Crystal Palace to decide whether they want to try and get him. Now, the Crystal Palace chairman was also asked about players leaving, players like Eze and Gehi, and he said, we will see. He didn't really say they're going to stay or they're definitely going to leave. He said, no, we are hoping to keep them. Let's see if they're going to stay. So let's hope that we actually push for Eze as soon as we get the sales done. At the moment, it's looking like we're going to focus on the sales this week before going in for Eze. So Eze already played the Community Shield. At first, we were told that Eze would prefer to, leave Crystal Palace before that Community Shield game, but he has now played in that game. I think this could be a very late deal. Even if we signed him today, he's not going to play against Man United. So I think they're going to try and focus on sales first before going in for Eze. Now, hopefully it moves quick. The moment you hear that we are going to now push for Eze 100%, hopefully it happens as quickly as possible. But as of now, it's looking like we are going to focus on sales. But Arteta hasn't really said that we are not going to sign players. No, he said we are actively looking at options. So he could easily have said, some managers usually say, now we finished our transfer business. We've now signed 4 players. We've now signed 5 players, 6 players. We'll just see at the end of the transfer window. But as of now, we are happy with what we have. He usually says that himself, Mikel, but this time he said we are actively looking at options. So let's hope that Eze is one of those options, and could Lookman be one of those options as well? Now, we were linked to him this past week and also over the weekend. Nico Shearer told us that intermediaries have offered Lookman to Arsenal. Now, it depends on whether Arsenal really like Lookman as a player. Does he fit into a team? Do Arsenal think that he fits into our team? And does Lookman really want to leave Serie A and come to Arsenal? That's another thing. So those are the 2 players that you're really looking at right now. There's been talks of Rodrygo, obviously, potentially leaving Real Madrid on loan, but that one I'm not really too convinced about. Rodrygo. Now, Jacquet was also linked to Arsenal, the defender from Ligue 1, but I think this one is one that could happen later on, like maybe in January or next season. Not really right now. Right now we have 9 defenders. Zinchenko might leave, Kiwior might leave. We'll talk about them in this one. But at the moment we have 9 defenders, and Gabriel is back. He looked sharp as always. Timber is back. He looked sharp as always. 2 positions on the pitch. They say in that game for Timber once again, left back, right back looked very good, and Mosquera has been looking very good. Saliba's been looking very good as usual. Ben White so far has been very good. So all of those players, there's Lewis Kelly as well, there's Calafiori, there's still Zinchenko at Arsenal. So at the moment, I don't think we're going to really push for Jeremy Jacquet unless we make some sales. So in terms of signings, let's wait and see. But I think this week we're going to be focusing on outgoings. Now, which are the outgoings we're talking about? Now, let's start with Kiwior. Now, Ryan Taylor Sport reported that Porto recently made a 23.4 million offer, an initial loan with an obligation to buy for Jakub Kiwior, but it was not entertained by Arsenal. Kiwior is also admired by Juventus and other Italian sides. Now, with Kiwior, it's so hard to predict what is going to happen because I'm looking at it both ways in terms of how Arsenal are looking at it. For me, I want to keep Kiwior 100%. I don't want him to go anywhere. But Arsenal looking at Kiwior as, let's wait and see if a good offer comes in for him. We can use Mosquera in that position. We can use Calafiori in that position. We can use Timber in that position. Let's wait and see, if we can get 30 million plus, then we can let him go. Maybe Arsenal looking at it like that. Or maybe Arsenal just don't want to sell him at all. And all this will just be talks and all that. And Arsenal not going to entertain selling him at all, which I'm hoping that is the case. At the moment, I think our defense is good. You don't need to really touch it. Keep those players. That is 2 players in each position. You have Ben White and Timber. You have Calafiori, Lewis Kelly, you have Gabriel and Kiwior, you have Saliba and Mosquera. That for me looks very good. And Zinchenko is still at the club. If we need to sell him, we'll still have 8 defenders. That is a good backline for me. And then you have a lot of versatility there. You have Timber at right back who can also play at centre back and at left back. You have Ben White at right back who can play at centre back. You have Calafiori at left back who can play at centre back. You have Mosquera who's played 3 different positions for us so far in this preseason: right back, right centre back, left centre back. And then you have Saliba and Gabriel who are the best centre backs in the world. And then a young Lewis Kelly emerging as well who can also play in midfield as well. So our defense is in a good place. I don't think we really need to touch it. And for me, Kiwior, even 20 million, we are not even supposed to be talking about it. It should be 50 million plus. But the thing with these teams, if we were signing him, if an English team was signing him, an Arsenal or Man City was signing Kiwior, it would be like 50, 60 million. But whenever they're going to like a Juventus are not going to give you more than 30 million for a defender. No chance. So it's not worth selling Kiwior for me. Just keep him at Arsenal, and let's not touch our defense. Let's focus on the forward players in the rest of the transfer window. But Juventus are looking at him, and FC Porto made a bid. What about Zinchenko? Now, according to reports, Fenerbahce have made an official offer to Arsenal for Alexander Zinchenko. Jose Mourinho wants to use Zinchenko in the number 6 position. So apparently Fenerbahce wants Zinchenko to use him as a midfielder over there. With Zinchenko, I think it's to do with money. I don't think Zinchenko really, really wants to leave Arsenal. I think us also looking at him like, let's see whether we're going to get enough money. If we don't, we can keep him until January. But because, again, let me check the contract situations. I always forget about the contract situations, all of these players. We have a lot of players that we usually talk about their contract situations, from Trossard to Zinchenko. So we know Trossard has 1 year remaining on his contract. Now, Alexander Zinchenko is on, he's on 150,000 per week. His contract expires next year as well. He's only 28 years of age. He should be in his prime now. The problem with Zinchenko as well is, unless he wants to reduce his wages, he might have to stay at Arsenal, because I don't know if there's anything that is going to come and give Zinchenko more than 150,000 per week right now. I don't think so. We gave him 150K. Again, I came to realize these players that he signed from Barcelona, from Real Madrid, from Man City, they usually end up, asking for a lot of wages because they are leaving those teams. Like Chelsea put Sterling on 300,000 per week plus. For us as well, we put Jesus and Zinchenko on massive money because we are coming from Man City. Now, they had a great impact in the first season. We saw at that point they were very worth that money. But at the moment, when you look at Zinchenko getting paid 150K, you're like, that's a lot of money. We can use that money elsewhere. And will any other team be willing to get him, or is it just going to be a loan deal with Arsenal paying part of his wages and this new team paying part of his wages? Again, very tough to know it's Zinchenko. With Kiwior, 70% confident he's going to stay at Arsenal. With Zinchenko, I think it's like a 50-50 right now. I think there's a 50% chance he stays, 50% chance he leaves, depending on, how much money you're going to get for him and depending on whether Arsenal want to loan him out or just a sale like the way we've been talking about Vieira. But apparently Mourinho wants to use him in the number 6 position. Will Zinchenko also be happy with that? Let's wait and see. Now, the teams like Fenerbahce and those other Turkish teams, Galatasaray, Besiktas, they usually sign a lot of these big players and they put them on a lot of money. So I don't think wages would be a problem with for Fenerbahce. They might be able to afford Zinchenko's wages, especially if he's willing to drop it from 150k to like 100k. I think they'd be okay with that. But Zinchenko at the moment still looking like a 50-50. Could he stay? Could he leave? I don't think Zinchenko will finish this season at Arsenal. He might stay until like January and then leave, but he only has 1 year remaining on his contract. So it's either Arsenal sell him or we give him a new contract or we let him go for free next year, just like the Trossard situation. There's a lot of players who are linked to the move away from Arsenal right now, and we need to sort out their futures. And another one is Leandro. Trossard obviously didn't play the last couple of games because he was injured. And I was just looking at the squad that we could put out in the Man United game. Now, obviously, in preseason, we are used to 11 players coming on. Now, in the Premier League games, you're only going to have 9 subs on the bench, and someone is going to miss out. If everyone is fit and you have Ben White on the bench, Kiwior, Mosquera, Noni is there, Merino is there, Havertz is there, if Trossard is there as well, I'm definitely forgetting someone, Nørgaard is there as well. Like we have like 11, 12 other players who can be on the bench. So a couple of players are going to be missing out. Maybe one of them could be Zinchenko as well, or Trossard. So if everyone is fit, does Trossard start ahead of Martinelli this weekend? I doubt. I think Martinelli will start this weekend. But is Trossard going to be on the bench? There's also Madueke now, who is also an extra option from the bench. So if you look at it that way, I mean, I would love to keep all of these players, as I've been saying, and keep all of them, especially if you're not getting enough money. Not because I don't want Zinchenko, I don't want Trossard to stay at Arsenal to start. No, I wanted us to get a new left winger. But if you're not getting a new left wing, I don't see the need of signing or selling Trossard. That's my stance. Like, it doesn't look like we're going to sign a new left winger. So you might as well keep Trossard, who has scored a lot of big goals for us over the last couple of years. He can come off the bench and have an impact. I mean, Trossard is not useless. I saw someone commenting the other day and saying you don't know ball because you want Trossard to stay. No, I can flip that on you and say you also don't know ball if you want Trossard to leave and you're also not getting a left winger, because he's been scoring a lot of big goals for Arsenal. Like, again, I keep on mentioning them: Aston Villa away, Wolves away, Bayern Munich at home, AC Porto at home. If you want a clutch player off the bench, he can do that for you. Now, especially if you're not signing another winger, then there's absolutely no need to let Trossard go. I'd be happy to let him go at the end of the season for free, to be honest, because I don't see the need of it. What happens if a Martinelli gets injured? Then we don't really have anyone to play there, because I don't think you're going to sign a left winger. I think if you're going to sign a player, it's going to be Eze, and that is it. And especially if you start hearing about 15 million to sell Trossard, that is too little. But if contract discussions have stalled, according to Ryan Taylor Sports. So again, does Trossard want to stay at Arsenal? That's another thing you have to look at. Does he want to leave? All of that. But at the moment, again, now I've said Kiwior, 70% chance it stays. Zinchenko, 50% chance it stays. I think with Trossard, it's a 60% chance it stays, 40% chance it goes. That's for me. But let's see what happens with Trossard's future. If he's going to leave, if he's going to stay, let's just wait and see, because at the moment he's injured anyway. So let's wait and see when he recovers, and if you're going to sell him later. Now, again, as I said, if you're using the money to buy players like Eze, then we can talk. But if you're not in need of selling players like Trossard to buy Eze, you might as well just keep all of them and have different options. At that point, then you can also use Madueke as a backup for Saka. There's still cup competitions to play. I don't want to see players like Saka playing in these cup competitions like the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, when you're playing against low-level teams. Those are the games you should be using to rest those kind of players. And Martinelli is the only option you have right now. Thankfully, you have Madueke who's looked okay in those 2 games. But if Madueke is needed on the right side, then boom, we only have Martinelli on the left side to use. So no backup there at all. But that is according to Ryan Taylor's spot on Trossard. Let's see what happens. Again, another player this time, Fabio Vieira. Stuttgart are continuing discussions with Arsenal over a permanent transfer for Fabio Vieira. The Gunners are seeking a package worth up to 17.35 million. So looks like you're going to get less than 20 million for Fabio Vieira. I mean, his spell at Arsenal hasn't worked out. It's always sad though, because I know if Chelsea are selling Fabio Vieira, they would sell him for 40 million. If we were buying Fabio Vieira today, we'd still buy him for like 40 million as well. Now, for Fabio Vieira, he's only on 45,000 per week, and he has 2 years remaining on his contract. So I guess Arsenal have a little bit of time to try and decide between now and the end of the season, maybe January, but I think we're definitely going to sell him this transfer window. For him, I think there's an 80% chance he's going to leave. Even if he doesn't end up at Stuttgart, we are going to, try to get something done with any other different team for Fabio Vieira to leave. His wages are not a problem at Arsenal. He's one of the lowest earners at Arsenal. But that spot is not going to be anywhere even near the bench. Like, he didn't play the Emirates Cup. I've already mentioned like 12, 13 other players who could be on the bench, and I didn't even mention him. So for him, he's 25 years of age. He needs to move on and restart his career elsewhere. So let's see if it's going to be at Stuttgart. Let's hope we can finalize these deals over the next 10 days, all these sales. We haven't really sold anyone at all. We focused on signing players and new contracts, which is great. We signed 6 players, and we were able to give 3 players new contracts, 3 very important players. But now we need to also sell some players, because you can't just buy. You also need to sell the players. So I actually do like that strategy of signing players fast before selling, because the moment you also sell your players, you start becoming desperate, especially if the important players are like, okay, we need to replace this player. But after you've already done your business, then you can sell these players, and teams will know you're not even desperate really to, get rid. So you're the one who's in control. You're like, no, we want 20 million for Vieira. You have to come and pay that money, or else we can keep him for another few months until someone else decides to come and get him. You're basically in charge. But when you start selling players fast and teams know you have money as well, it becomes a problem. But Fabio Vieira is the next one as well who's expected to leave. There's more once again. Reiss Nelson. Fulham remain in discussions for Reiss Nelson and have been trying to structure an initial loan, but Arsenal favor a permanent deal. Nelson also has other suitors from the Premier League, and Arsenal view him as one of their most sellable assets. Once again, another player who didn't feature at all in the Emirates Cup. He also didn't feature in the previous game against Villarreal, and he only played against Tottenham because Trossard got injured, so he wouldn't have played that game as well. So basically, in the last 3 games, Nelson hasn't come on in 2 of them, and in the other one, he only came on because Trossard got injured late on. So he's definitely not in our plans. If he was in our plans, he'd have featured more in preseason. He played well in the first game that he played, but he's definitely not in our plans. He's one player that is going to be sold. I thought it would have already been done by now. I thought Fulham would try and get him before the Premier League season starts. They might still get him before then, but I thought it would be earlier than that. So for Nelson, we are waiting to see whether it's going to be a loan deal. Are we going to sell him? I don't really like these loan deals every single time. Like, you see, you've talked about 5 players. You're talking about Nelson potentially loan deal, Fabio Vieira less than 20 million, and then Kiwior, the team that wants him, it's another loan deal. No, for me, where I stand, try and get 15 to 20 million for Nelson. Keep Kiwior, try and get that 20 million for Fabio Vieira. Zinchenko, let's wait and see if there's anyone who's going to offer us more than 20 million, then you can proceed and let him go. And who's the other one? Trossard. Yeah, I don't really need to sell Trossard. Especially if you're not signing a left winger. That's my stance. There's Lokonga as well. There's not been any news on Lokonga, by the way, at all. I've not heard anything about Lokonga at all, and he's like the first person who we should be selling, but there's not been any news on Lokonga at all. And for him, he's definitely not going to play. Like, you can just tell, like, he's literally the last player on the bench. He's not going to come on. Even if he played 3 teams, even if we played, a first half team, a second half team, and then we brought a third team to play the last 20 minutes of the game, Lokonga will still not play. So it's definitely not in our plans. Let's hope we can move all of these players. And there's still Karl Hein, who's linked to a few teams as well. I think Rangers is one of them. So there's still like 5-6 players who can move on. Nelson, Lokonga, Karl Hein, Fabio Vieira, Zinchenko might, and then we wait and see what happens with Kiwior and Trossard. But yeah, I think 5+ players are going to leave between now and the end of the season. Let's just hope we can get good enough money for them. So right now it's focused on sales. We know that we are linked to Eze, but from what Ata said, this is what Ata said, this is what we started with. Let's see what happens in terms of where the squad is in the next few weeks. We are actively looking at options as well, as there are a few players maybe that have to leave. So let's see which players are going to leave. And if you're going to go and sign 1 or 2 more players, is it going to be 2 forward players? Again, on Friday when he did the show, Ateta said he wants, so we were told that Ateta wants 2 forward players, a left winger and an attacking midfielder. Are we going to manage to get that? I don't know. Let's wait and see if we can pull it off. But hopefully we can get this guy fast. Before anything else, let's hope we can get Eberechi Eze at Arsenal fast. Then we can talk. If we get Eze, then we can try and find a way to play whoever we want to. At that point, you can look at it as, Eze can play as a left winger, Madueke can play as a left winger, Martinelli is there, if Trossard is still there, we'll find a way. We'll try and find a way to use those players and then keep Kiwior. Ideally, you have 8 players, defenders. Even if you let go of Zinchenko, still have 8 defenders, and you're good to go. Because there's still very good players at Arsenal who are going to have great seasons. Players like Saliba and Declan Rice. So you now add the likes of Gyokeres to that and the likes of Zubimendi to that, and let's hope things go well. So over the next few days, I expect us to hear more about players leaving than players joining. So that's where it is at the moment. RK says, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Premier League week is here. Let's hope we are ready for that game. Let's hope we can pick up those 3 points against Man United. Watching from South Sudan says, Mosquera, thank you for always watching. I appreciate it. Please subscribe and smash the like button. As RK says, Charles says, if you get Eberechi, Eze must claim that title. I have confidence about that. Let's hope we can get him. So I don't think he's going to be here. Like, even if we get him, I don't think he's going to be here for the Man United game. So for those games against Man United and Leeds, we are going to use what we already have. So let's hope the players that are here can play well in those games. And then Eze, hopefully you can add him because there's still a lot of tough games coming up after that. Liverpool, Nottingham, Newcastle, Man City. We have a tough schedule to start this season. You have Man United away. In the third game, we have Liverpool away. After the international break, the international breaks are back. After we play Liverpool, there's another international break there for 2 weeks. And then after the players come back, we are going to play against Nottingham. We're also going to play against Newcastle away. And then you're also playing Man City at home. And then Champions League will start that somewhere that in those weeks there. You never know who you're going to play first and second. You could easily have a Barcelona to play there. You could easily have, an Italian team like Inter Milan or someone like that to play at Napoli. You never know you're going to play, so it's going to be tough. You're going to need a squad. I still think we have a very good team, especially defensively. I think we have the best defense. I think the way Zubimendi played the other day with Declan Rice, absolutely fantastic. You just need Odegaard to, keep on improving. We need the Odegaard from 2 seasons back. If he gets to those kind of levels, very, very good spot there. And then there's players like Noni. If you add Eze there and Madueke plays the way he's been playing off the bench, and then you also have... hopefully Martinelli improving because he's going to be here next season. He's probably going to start against Man United as well. So let's hope he plays well. Let's hope players like Saka and players like Havertz stay fit, no more injuries. And then, let's hope Gyokeres hits the ground running in the Premier League and things go well for us. Also, we've talked about Eze Musa. Other wing, I don't think you're going to get another winger, to be honest. I think if you're going to sign a player, it's going to be Eze, and that is it. Unless we get surprised, let's see. That's why I said I think 60% Trossard ends up staying because I don't think you're going to get a new left winger. I don't want us to sell Trossard and then not get a left winger. I'd not be happy with that. That is basically what we did last season, letting go Smith Rowe and Ketia Nelson, then not replacing. No, because at that point, then you don't really have a backup for Saka again. Because we can use Madueke there, knowing that in these cup competitions we have Trossard or Martinelli. We can slot in the Carabao Cup, slot in the FA Cup, and a few Premier League games here and there. You can have different options. You can have as if is there to play as well in the left wing, but you can't let go of Trossard and not sign a left wing. I'm not happy with that. I started the transfer window by saying I want Trossard and Martinelli to stay anyway as backup options. Bring for me a Rodrygo, and then you have those ones as backup options. Because of the injuries he had last season as well, we had so many injuries last season to the point where you need like 23, 24 players in this team to be safe. Lawrence says you need Eze. Yep, I agree. Charles says, let's not worry about the balancing of the book. Chelsea have been signing everybody until they reach for 7 players. Yeah, but Arsenal not going to do business like Chelsea. Those are two different institutions. Yeah, Chelsea usually sign. The thing with Chelsea, the way Chelsea and Man City sign players, Chelsea sign them. Chelsea sign those players sometimes just with the vision of selling them. I don't think Arsenal buy players thinking about selling them. Chelsea sign like half of their players thinking about selling them 1 year later, like a player like Dewsbury Hall. Chelsea are not buying him to play. They are buying him, to use him a few games, hopefully improves, and then they sell him off, and they've already done that. Arsenal don't usually do that. So that's already a big difference, because Chelsea are looking to sell their players. When a Chelsea goalkeeper becomes good, like Petrovic became good a couple of seasons ago, they sell him. Arsenal not going to sell Raya after Raya has become good. You already have sold him. If Raya was at Chelsea right now, Chelsea would have sold him already, just because of the money. So they don't really do the business the same kind of way. So yeah, and Chelsea is the only team that is signing 47 players. All the other teams have not signed 47 players the last 3-4 years. But that's why I need squad depth still. I would prefer, one thing I'd like to do like Chelsea is the selling of players well. They sell their players well. They end up getting 30, 40 million even for a player who's played one game. And I think eventually a lot of teams will end up having squads like Chelsea of like at least 30 players because of all the injuries and competitions. Let's have enough squad depth. That's what I'm asking for. But 47 players, no. And what I was saying about Man City is, Man City usually can get a player in January for 60 million and then they're tired of him. Man City signed Nico Gonzalez in January and they're already tired of him right now. Grealish 100 million, he didn't work. 2 years later, you're gone. Arsenal don't really do that. Signing a player for 60 million, and then for us, it's a lot of pressure. Like up to today, we are hoping, Havertz scores goals, and we signed him like 3 years ago. Like if it was a Man City, they'd be like, sell him. Man City would have already sold even Madueke by now. That's how Man City do their business. Man City do not also play around. Like if you don't work out for the first 10 games, you're gone. So we don't really do business like that. Let Kiwior stay and let Eze come. Yeah, I would love that, Lawrence. We need Eze, says Sim. And thank you for updating us, says Gilbert. You're welcome. Alagoke says, how sure are you that you're signing Eze? I'm going to say 60%. Yeah, 60% is going to join, 40% is not going to join. We don't have one squad this season. Yeah, that's the good thing. Again, I was looking at our potential bench against Man United, and some players are not even going to be on the bench because we'll have a lot more players, in terms of the squad. You have like 20, 23 players who can be used, which is good, we need positions, players for every position. Nørgaard can come on for Zubimendi, Noni can come on for Rice, Merino can come on for, or Noni can come on for Odegaard, Merino can come on for Rice. And for defense, I've told you have 9 defenders. And then forward players, you can have Havertz coming on for Gyokeres, you can have Trossard coming on for Martinelli, Madueke coming on for Saka. That is what we need. We need players in every single position. I don't want us to be using Saka 90 minutes Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday again, Saturday, 90 minutes now. We need Eze, says Abdullahi. What about Leo? Do you mean Liao? Arsenal don't really want Liao. If you're talking about Liao, Arsenal don't really want Liao. I don't think Arsenal, you'd already have had something. I think for Liao, the fans want Liao, but I don't think Arsenal have ever really wanted Liao that much. I don't think so. When will the transfer window close? I think it's September 1st, so 3 weeks, 21 days remaining. Yeah, so September 1st, I think, after we play Liverpool. Good evening to you, Suleiman. Well done between Madueke and Martinelli. Who do you prefer? Between Madueke and Martinelli, who do you prefer starting against Man United? For that game, I'm going to go for Martinelli because of defensive work. On that wing, they have Diallo and Mbeumo starting on that wing. So for this particular game, Martinelli, because of his defensive work, you're going to need someone to run back to defend Diallo and Mbeumo. I'm not 100% sure about Madueke's defensive work as of now yet. We still need to see more in terms of that. But the next game after that, then Madueke has looked, in terms of attacking, Madueke has looked better than Martinelli in those 2 games that he's played. Direct, just take on a player, cross the ball. He could easily have had an assist for Gyokeres the other day. But for this particular game against Man United, because of who's playing on that wing and you're going to need to defend, you're not going to... That's why Timber might actually start that game at left back ahead of Calafiori and Lewis Kelly, because they have Mbeumo on that wing and Diallo on that wing. So we might actually use Timber on that side. That's why Timber played 30 minutes against Bilbao on the left as left back. But after that, then we can talk about, Timber going back to right back with Ben White, Lewis Kelly, Calafiori left back, and between Madueke and Martinelli is going to be starting at left back. So 100% Martinelli will start this week. My opinion, I think, is 100% going to start because of the defensive work against Man United. Lamin says, hello, bro, long time. Are you okay? Like, person they want to send this. What? I like it. I don't understand what you mean there, Lamin. Just send it again. Kiwior is our savior when Gabriel is down. Yeah, I agree. So you cannot sell him. You cannot sell him at all, and we don't want to use Gabriel every single game as well. There's a rumor that Arsenal have made a bid of 55 million with an initial fee of 30 million. Is it true? We talked about that last time. There was reports that Arsenal, are happy to make a bid of 30 million first, and Crystal Palace would be happy. I saw it today as well, but because it's not coming from a reliable source, that's why I've not talked about it. So let's just wait and see whether any reliable sources talk about that, and then we'll talk about it. We must keep Jakub Kiwior says Adebayo. Arsenal should maintain the current squad, no, says Sale Gilbert. In terms of sales, no, we have to sell players. Players like Nelson have to go, Vieira has to go, Lokonga has to go, Karl Hein has to go. There's like 6-7 players who still need to go, and then we wait and see whether Zinchenko is going to stay or leave. Arteta should not repeat the mistake of selling Martinelli and Trossard without replacing them like Smith Rowe, Nelson, and Ketty last season, says Chalala. I agree. I think it would be crazy if we let go of Trossard and don't get a left winger. You might just keep Trossard. Let's sign Eze and keep Trossard, says Peter. Martinelli for left back, says Don. No, that is, we have a lot of players who can play left back. Timber, Calafiori, Lewis Kelly. But in terms of this particular game, yes, I know Martinelli is definitely going to start because of his defensive work. And because Man United, that is their strong wing, we're definitely going to use Martinelli in that game. And then after that, for the other games like Leeds, where we are going to be expecting 3-4 goals in that kind of game, then we can talk about Madueke starting in those ones. No, not just the Leeds game, any other game, as long as you're not playing against, Salah on the right wing and Man United with Diallo and Mbeumo in the first game. You have to be very careful in those games. And I don't think Madueke is a good defender like Martinelli in terms of going back and coming back, going forward, coming back. But for this particular game, start Martinelli, and the next game against Leeds, we can use Madueke from that game on the left side. Absolutely no problem. Let's wait and see. But that's the latest today. We're expecting sales to happen this week. The Premier League starts this week, so obviously we are going to hear less news because the players will, and all the journalists will start focusing on the games, and the team will start focusing on the games. But Andrea Bata, I'm sure, is still trying to get some deals done. Obviously, it's not just the sales. On top of that, we also need to buy a couple of more players, Eze being one of them. And on top of that, contracts. Saliba and Saka, we need to give them new contracts. We can't let go of any of them. And we are waiting to see whether Trossard is going to be given a new contract or is going to leave. Zinchenko also has 1-year contract. So all of those players, we need to finalize those deals. Greetings, Len. Kiwior goes nowhere. Kiwior will be a starter in many Premier League clubs. I agree. I think if you're to go, maybe he's not starting like 3 teams only. He probably starts for like 16 other teams in the Premier League. He can't start at Arsenal because you have the best player, not because he's not good. Yeah, even Gabriel coming back, just playing this first game in like, again, a couple of months, and Gabriel looked so comfortable once again. That combination between Gabriel and Saliba, we've come from far. There's days where we had Ignacy Mikel, and even recently, man, we looked at our defense when we were playing Man City 3 years ago or something. We had Holding, Mustafi, and Chambers. We've come from far. We've come from far. Talking about Gabriel and Saliba and talking about a Polish international. I mean, Kiwior can't even start at Arsenal. Zinchenko, a Ukrainian international who can't start at Arsenal. We are talking about, Ben White and Timber, who should we start because both of them are really good. It's a good place to be in. So that's the latest today. If there's any more updates, we'll talk about it. But we'll now start focusing on the game against Man United as well. The Premier League is about to start. Let's hope we can get the 3 points in that one. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on